Well, this looks different, doesn't it? I thought I'd do something different today. So, I mean, as you guys saw by the title of this video, this is going to be my S5IIX rig build. So, just before we get into building this rig, I want to say a few key things about my sort of mindset going into this build. I like to keep things minimal nowadays. I don't like to build things up too much. I want to save on weight, I want to save on time, so therefore it means having less stuff. I've definitely got that same mentality when building out this rig here, so keep that in mind. I've not added anything that's unnecessary, so therefore I don't actually have any servo focus or follow focus aids included with this rig, pretty because 90% of the time I'll be using autofocus lenses, so I'll just use the F1 button to punch, and acquire focus if you like, and then just switch back to manual focus while I'm on a shoot, or on the odd case where I'll be using a manual focus lens like this Cine lens that is on the rig currently, then I'll just use my hand. I'll just go, bareback and just rock it back and forth with my fingers. To be honest, I don't really do any sort of major things where I'm cranking the lens backwards and forwards, so that's absolutely fine. And to be honest, I've used a camera many times handheld this way without any issues. So the cage that the S5IIX is sitting in is actually the Tilta full cage for the S5 II and the S5IIX. I've got the half cage from Tilta for the S5 II, but I thought I'd use the full cage for this rig since it gives a few more mounting options, and also there's one key element to this cage that I need, and that is this top bit here, which is actually an integrated sort of built-in NATO rail, which is really important because I have a NATO rail handle that I want to attach. So I'm going to slide that on here now. And it's great because it means I can whip this on and off, really quickly without sort of, spending too much time messing around screwing things on and off and stuff. So that's really good. And actually the handle that I'm using here is one from Nitze. It's a little stinger handle. Just so you guys know, if you did want, all of your accessories to be matching, so you wanted to have a Tilta handle, a Tilta cage or SmallRig or, all Nitze or whatever, that's totally fine. You can go ahead and buy the equivalent from that brand. It's just for this rig build, I was using what I had lying around my office. And I've always loved this handle, so therefore I thought I'd use it. So yeah, I also have a little cold shoe here mounted to the front of the handle, and that's because I like to use my monitor holder on that and not actually mount it on the handle itself or on the top of the handle, pretty because it just gives me more sort of room to actually hold on to my handle here without the monitor getting in the way. And also I just love having the monitor mounted over the lens because my sort of field of view is exactly above where the lens is sort of pointing and also where the sensor is, so it means that my sort of judgment when it comes to framing up shots is, completely accurate, which is great. So since we talk about the monitor, of course I'm using the Atomos Ninja V. The reason being is because this camera can actually output RAW, of course, and I want to be able to utilize that from time to time. So therefore it makes sense to be using a monitor that can do both. So that's the monitor I'm using here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch you guys around on this side of the rig before we plug anything in, because I actually have another thing from Nitze to add, and that is this Nitze SSD holder here, because I don't want to be, sort of all camera and no SSD holder, you know what I mean? So it means I can actually use ProRes when I want to use it. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that on here on the side of the camera. Come on, Josh. So this SSD holder from Nitze actually holds the Samsung T5 SSDs, but I have tried it with the SanDisk Extreme SSDs as well, and it works absolutely fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it in here, but I'm not going to put it the whole way through though, and I'll show you why in a second once I plug everything in. But yeah, so this is where the SSD will be sitting, just on the side of the camera, just there. Yeah, so that means I can use both ProRes RAW and ProRes and basically utilize all of the external codecs that are available with this camera. Again, like I said, I want to utilize every function of this camera with this rig. So let's go ahead and plug everything in. So I'm using this SmallRig HDMI to HDMI cable. It's from Amazon, super cheap, but it's nice and short. I don't really like to use long cables when I am doing rig builds because it means excess cable ends up dragging around everywhere, and that's just not nice. And then I'm going to attach the USB-C for the SSD as well. And this is the reason, guys, why I am using, or why I have put the SSD sort of so far into the sort of holder here. And that's because this is a really short USB-C cable, and this is the way that I can sort of get it to fit nicely without putting too much stress on this cable. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the most part. The only last thing to add is this matte box from Tilta. This is a Tilta Mirage matte box. I absolutely love this matte box because it's small, it's lightweight, and it gives me everything that I need. So it's got the French flag on the front, of course, and it allows me to drop in, the sort of Panavision size filters or even circular filters too. To be honest guys, I've really hated using variable ND filters recently. I've really been into using solid stop ND filters, especially the ones from Formatt Hitech, because they're super high quality. If you guys are interested in buying some better filters for yourself, then I'll leave some links down in the description. But yeah, so having this on the front is actually really good, and it just makes the rig look amazing. So as you can see here, this is the final rig. It's yeah, it's nice and compact. So I've got the option to do everything that I want to with this rig. Like I said, I can use high quality filters, can record ProRes RAW. Oh, starting that up. I can record via SSD, which is really nice. And there's absolutely nothing on this rig that is overkill. Like, this will all be used, and it's all very necessary to have a nice, comfortable experience when shooting with the S5IIX handheld. I've made quite a few rig build videos actually for the Lumix S series of cameras. So this is the S5IIX build, of course, but I've done one as well for the S5 and the BS1H. I've also done a video as well on my favorite S5IIX accessories. So if you wanted some more inspiration before you run out and, you know, buy loads of stuff to rig up your camera, then definitely go check out those videos too.